I think the veterans of America should really organize together along with their families to say, we don't really have a legitimate third party which expresses what we want. We will not accept this nonsense between the Republicans and Democrats, which seems to be nothing more than just shifting hats between different members of the whorehouse. I mean, I remember President Truman saying, when I leave the office of the presidency, they wanted me to endorse various aspects. He said, they didn't want me as the president. They want the office of the presidency. He said, the only difference between me and a president is just that I'm a piano player in a whorehouse. And he was very honest. He left with no money, no book guarantees, unlike our present president. And he left an honest, poor man with his benefits from having been in World War I. And what I'm asking again of the American public is very simple. Call the White House, call your legislators, call whomever. But when that doesn't work, which I suspect will not work, then it's time for the American public to wake up and say, okay, there was one party that came up and represented whatever, but it's time for us to really get together and to say to ourselves, let's be practical, we're pragmatic, we're basically individuals. We don't want federal government involved in our business and our private lives. We don't need religion to be imposed upon us and be an issue on the practical elements of our own life and where we're going. And we have men and women, over 11 million veterans of different wars, who are saying, we gave our life to this country. Now it's time for the country to give us something back, which is literally our democracy. So in doing so, we create papers, we go on the Internet, we do shows like you have, and we go out and demonstrate, all peacefully, just as the way it was done in Egypt, it's done elsewhere. If the federal government confronts us with guns and war, I don't think that should happen, nor will it happen. But if that is the case, I will be certain that there are men in the military who will not do that and will prevent that from happening. So I say to the American public, once again, the voice of the people is the voice of God. Vox populus, vox Deus. It's your turn, it's your chance, but I am tired as an American citizen, not because I'm a counterterrorist export, which I think is a great line, because I was exported out to go after terrorists.
Freudian slip again.
Something very funny about the business of terrorism, and it's something peculiar to it. Today's terrorist is tomorrow's statesman. When I worked against Arafat, and he killed one of our ambassadors, and we hunted him, and he knew we were after him, years later, I had to deal with him as statesman in the Camp David Accords. And don't ever forget that, because we, too, American revolutionaries, were born as revolutionaries. John Adams, Jefferson, George Washington, we were all terrorists in the eyes of the British. Years later, we became the official founding fathers of this state. Now, Al-Qaeda is a product of our own government, created by our government for the purposes of our national security. Those days are gone. We don't need it. There is no more war on terrorism. What there is an economic war which we have to address. And the most serious national security problem is our debt and our financial